You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
PackersTalk.com.
Welcome to the Packers Weekly Podcast, part of PackersTalk.com network. I'm your host, Miles Teddick, joined by your co-host, Tim Hamilton. We are a couple of diehard Packers fans, just love talking about the Pack. We're not getting into all the national sports media talking points and nonsense they get into and waste their time with. We're diving into the top topics around the Pack every week, breaking down games during the season, sorting through all the drama and the rumors and the draft stuff of the offseason. If y'all want to support the podcast, please spike that like button for us. Most importantly, jump on over there to the YouTube, type in Packers Talk Network, hit that little subscribe button that comes up on the channel. It will do us a great deal of help. Only takes you a few seconds, a few clicks. Very, very easy operation that we're asking for. So jump over there, do that right now. You won't miss very much at all. We have a ton to sink our teeth into for this episode. Obviously a sloppy win against the Cardinals. And some people we're still frustrated about it. I'm frustrated. I don't think I'm as frustrated for reasons I'll get into, but I think that there's reasons for optimism. I think we can start to pack the frustration away. We'll get into why I feel that way, but certainly some good things to take away from the game. My goodness, there's a field goal record that was broken. That's pretty cool. Pretty big deal. Micah Parsons finally starts getting home and racking up the sacks. Pretty big deal. So good stuff to take from the game. Some frustrations. We'll see. We're not firing LaFleur today. But can they handle Mr. Rodgers as they prepare for another battle here? And, I'm sick of the adjective games, but this is a big game. And you can't pretend it's not, because it is. There's humans involved. And I think it's going to be an interesting one. We got a lot to talk about with this one, Tim. First, though, we must take care of some business. We are once again sponsored by Wisconsin's own Ticket King. For over 30 years, Ticket King has been providing Packers tickets to Packers fans, as well as Bucs tickets, Brewers tickets, all the tickets. You can find them on the web at ticketking.com or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. Remember, support all those local businesses, the Wisconsin local businesses, all your local businesses, all of them. Tim, sir, how are we doing?
Doing well. How are you, Miles?
I'm tired, but I'm happy that we have a W to speak about. We also have a new Packer fan that we welcomed into the world last week.
Yes.
So
biggest news.
Yes, little Penny Teddick joined us last week. She's almost a week old, so very, very excited about that. But I needed one more day to recover before we could jump on the podcast. Well, I couldn't come on last night, but yes, very excited to have a new Packer fan joining us. She's gonna have a Cheesehead probably for Christmas. We got to find like a little newborn sized Cheesehead. I bet we can. But so doing well. Tired, but well. Tired for all the right reasons.
That's right. Congratulations and welcome her into the world with a win too.
Yes, right. She comes in, they win. This is a good streak we're on. She's undefeated so far.
She's undefeated. She's the good luck charm.
yes, she is. So. No, I'm good. We got Chris the Casual in with us. Good evening, sir. He says, "Good evening, fellas," with a slice of cheese. I hope you're eating a slice of cheese. That would be even better. But so look, I know some people are still not all that enthused about how the Packers are winning these games. I get it. Yeah. Totally get it. I too sat there and tried to resist the urge to live tweet my frustrations, because I know that I'll have to eat some of them again later. It keeps happening. We want to fire LaFleur in the middle of the game, and then they win. And they won. We can't fire the guy. And so it's just a hell of a thing, Tim. But I personally think, and I want to get your thoughts first, but I personally think they're turning a corner. But how did you feel about the game? What were your takeaways?
I mean, it was ugly. I had bigger concerns coming off this game than the Bengals game, and I know I mean, it's a win, but it sure feels like a lot of Packers fans have to be like talked off the ledge from this one. And it's like they're winning these games, which, as ugly as they are, the most important thing is they're winning them. And I've seen plenty of games like the Cardinals game in the past from the Packers where they didn't win them, and we were pissed off all week, and they won this one. And I think that says something. Like the fact that they could play as ugly as they played, especially the first half, which was just brutal, but still find a way to win the game. Like this was a game that they found ways to lose in the past. So I think right there is positive, and it's building something. Like you gotta have to go through and grind out wins like this to get to where you ultimately want to get to at the end of the year. You don't want to be playing your best football right now. It would make everybody feel so much better if they were winning these games by 30 points, but not too many teams are winning week after week by 30 points. Look around the league. And I know what the Cardinals' record is, but they've lost a ton of close games. They're a better team than what their record is. Every team has flaws. Most teams have a lot of flaws right now. So the Packers are in there with everyone else, but they also sit atop their division, along with the Colts. They're the only teams in the NFL with just one loss so far. So that's saying something, and it's really important that they found a way to win this game, where in the past they haven't. And you can go back, and I saw this brought up on Twitter too after the game, is go back to the '96 team that we all love and adore, and it's one of the great Packer teams since the Lombardi team. Well, the best Packers team since the Lombardi team, but it can go down as one of the best of all time. They had their moments too where things didn't go so right. They had a stretch of the season there where they lost to Minnesota, and they lost to the Chiefs, and they lost to Dallas, and they just got by. I think it was a Bears team that wasn't very good, and they barely beat them. And they're struggling at halftime against a really bad Rams team. And a pick six by Doug Evans in the second half turns that game around, and then they just take off from there. But like even that team, as dominant and great as that team was, they had a rough stretch of games. Like this happens. And looking at the rest of the NFL, we're seeing teams every week lose games where you're just like, wasn't expecting that, like,
oh yeah.
Everybody thought the Bills looked so good. Now they've got a couple losses and a couple close calls. I mean, they just got by the Saints. They just got by the Dolphins. And they turn around and lose to the Patriots. They lose to the Falcons. Like, you can go down the list.
The Steelers just lost to the Bengals.
Steelers, we're going to talk about that. They just lost to the Bengals. The Eagles, who, they just lost 2 games in a row before beating the Vikings. And their offense hasn't looked good all year. Like, every team has issues, as do the Packers. And the Packers have a lot to clean up. But they have one loss right now. They sit atop the division. There's a lot to improve on and get better at. But the important thing is they're winning these games. And again, that's a game where last season or many many seasons of Packers football, I've seen them lose that kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. They found a way to win ultimately. They got it done when they had to. And yes, there's things that have been consistently problems, going back since the beginning of the season, or at least since the Washington game, that you want to see this team clean up once and for all. Those are issues they have to solve, but they are winning these ugly games. And I think it's way better and way more important to be coming off these with a win, saying like, you know what, yeah, they have a lot to clean up, but at least they got another win in the win column. They keep pace with the Lions. They're not falling behind anybody in the conference. Then to be sitting here like, man, that's another loss, and where do they go from here? And we've been there. We're not at that point. So yeah, a lot to clean up, and a lot of things that we can really, negatives that we can really get into and dissect. But ultimately, it's a win, and I feel pretty good about that. We don't apologize for winning ever, and especially at this point of the year. If they're playing games like this at the end of the year, then you're going to say, well, I don't know if you can do this in the playoffs. But this is one of those games where you're like, okay, we got through some ugliness. We grinded out a win. We found different ways to win a football game. That can pay off for you as the season goes on and you really develop what you're going to be as a team. So, yeah, a couple of days after the game, I feel better about it, certainly than I did watching it. The people that are going crazy online, Packers fandom, calm down and like look at the big picture, look at what everyone else is doing around the league and realize it's still just October. And you got to win games like this. Every team goes through this, and they're going through it and getting wins. So
Totally.
that's kind of where
I mean, and that's where I'm at. And even though, like, again, I was up to this point, I've been very frustrated with LaFleur and how he's managed this season, you know, and sure, there could be criticism passed around, but LaFleur is just kind of the catch-all. Bisaccia, let's not forget that guy. He at least deserves honorable mention. But the one thing, and this is something that we've talked about in previous seasons, that is one of the main reasons you don't want to lose LaFleur, is these guys have never quit on him. Not once. This team has never quit on this guy. And that is worth a lot. It doesn't show up on a stat sheet. You know, you're not going to be able to quantify it, but they don't quit. And that is a huge, huge deal. And, you know, I think that contributes to what you said as far as winning games like this instead of losing games like this. And, you know, maybe when I say that, people hear like, well, of course they don't quit. Like, they're professionals, they're competitors, all this and that. They're humans, guys. Like, you know, you watch these games, and even, you know, as a fan, if you're watching the game, you get to a point where you're like, all right, well, they can't win, you know, or it's going to take kind of a miracle to win, or, you know, you just mathematically, you're like, it's a 3-possession game. You're going to be lucky to get 2 more possessions out of it. That kind of stuff. You never see that sort of defeated calculation happening with those players on the sideline. So it's not that they've ever, you know, never quit on, you know, like teams quit on coaches. Like the Dolphins might be quitting on the coach down there, but you don't know what's going on. I'm not talking about that level of quitting on him, sort of like giving up on him altogether. But within games, there are times where you realize, like, hey, probably lost this one. I've never seen that in this team. These guys don't have it in them. And I kind of thought it was maybe like they were young, they're naive for a while. Like, these guys are in. There's veterans now. Like, these guys have been in it for, you know, 3+ seasons. They're not naive, but they still don't have that quit in them. And that is a big, big deal, man. That's a big deal. And I 100% give LaFleur credit for that.
Yeah, and I think LaFleur was a lot more aggressive this game. We can't really get on him for not being aggressive. They get the ball back after giving up a touchdown at the end of the first half. There's 7 seconds left. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, just take a knee, get into halftime, regroup. And instead they complete a 20-some yard pass to Romeo Doubs and kick a 61-yard field. I mean, that takes guts. Like,
to even try it.
Like, I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're doing here, and then he completes it, and they're going to line up a kicker who they signed, you know, 8 days ago before that game off the street, and he sets a franchise record with a 61-yarder. Like, that's some aggressive football. And then, of course, you know, the game-winning drive, 4th and 2, and now he came out, and what was his line about scared money don't make money? Well, they come out 4th and 2, and he wasn't going to go for it at first, so I can't give him full credit there. And then they burn a timeout and come back out and go for it. So it was like, okay, if you really were going to go for it, you would have went for it to begin with. But whatever, he did change his mind, went for it, and they picked up a big 4th and 2 where he could have kicked a field goal that would have tied the game. So that was aggressive too. He definitely was more aggressive in this game, and, you know, I give him credit for that. Yeah, there's some play calls that I just didn't understand. And again, I'll give him credit because Monday after the game, he talked about the third down call to Josh Jacobs where they ran a toss outside and it got blown up, and it just made no sense to run the play. And he admitted that it was a crappy call. So I give him credit for at least, you know, being honest about it. There's still those calls where you scratch your head, and I don't understand some of them, but I'll also say in his defense, like, watch any other game and any other team play, and you're going to sit there and be like, what the hell was that play call? Like, multiple times. Like, they all do it. So it's not just LaFleur. Yeah, he's got to clean some of it up. He's got to stop galaxy braining it. I think that's a lot of what it is. I think he just overthinks things. But we also saw, and maybe this will be a sign, I hope, of things, but late in that game, they started feeding the ball to Tucker Kraft, finally. And after the Bengals game, one of LaFleur's quotes and comments was like, their offense is not going to be an offense that's just going to, like Jamar Chase is with the Bengals, where they're just going to throw him a bunch of balls. Like, they're going to run their offense, and whoever gets open is going to get the ball in that system, within that structure of the offense. Like, they're going to spread it around. And I get it. I get what he's saying, but I also think sometimes they get a little bit too far with that, where it's like, you know what, you have Tucker Kraft, they do get the ball to Jacobs a lot, I'll give them that, but like, you have Kraft, you have Golden, who's been making some plays for him. Sometimes you just got to start feeding those guys the ball and see what happens. And once teams start taking that away from you, okay, then you start spreading it around. And maybe the focus will go to Kraft, and that'll open up things for Dobbs and for Golden and for Wicks and whoever else. But I don't know. To me, I think they need to start feeding their better players the ball more often. And maybe that's a sign of things to come, is that in clutch time, Jordan Love has thrown a lot of passes Tucker Kraft's way. Hopefully that's going to continue on here, because they do have some guys that need to see more targets than they're getting, even though they don't have the quote-unquote number one receiver. They do have playmakers, and that's one of the things like with this offense where it's like, yeah, you can spread it around. They have different guys that can make plays, but sometimes you just got to get it to your better players more often.
Yeah, I mean, when you listen to some of the best coaches talk ball, and I think they say it so much that it sounds like empty coach speak, but they talk about getting the ball in the hands of their playmakers. Like the best coaches, that they'll repeat that. You got to get the ball in the hands of your playmaker. You got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. It's not just a thing that sounds good to say on a football TV show. You know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. You got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. And I think right now, I say the Packers are turning a corner, and I think it's happening in multiple ways. LaFleur's having to go through some growing pains, almost kind of the inverse of what he went through with Rodgers, where with Rodgers, he had to kind of come in, and Rodgers had to sort of give him the lead. Like, look, coach, this is how it's going to be. You got to let me operate this way. Don't try to change me. Okay, got it. And now LaFleur with Love has been like, this is the way it's got to be, right? Like he's been able to take Love, mold him, and have hands on. And now he needs to be able to let Love dictate. He needs to be able to let Love kind of have that same, and not entirely maybe, but along the same lines of that mentality that Rodgers had, which is you got to let me run this thing. You got, and it's, again, I'm not trying to call 100% of the plays. Look, you call the game, but when I get into a situation and I see which one of the guys in the huddle is huffing and puffing, and I hear which one of the guys is going, look, I got this guy on this one move. I'm telling you, I'm going to give it to him, and I'm going to be open over here. I'm telling you, you just got to put it there. That happens. That chatter really happens, right? A receiver is going to know he's got something on a DB. He's going to be in the quarterback's ear saying, Love, you got to hit it. You got to hit it. You got to hit it. It's going to be there. It's going to be there. It's going to be there. And Love then has to be able to get that out of LaFleur. So if he's hearing this, he's like, I think it's going to be there, man. You're right. We got to get it. And then LaFleur gives him something that's not even close to that. Like if they're thinking they want some sort of, short crossers over the middle, and LaFleur comes along with a running back draw. It's like, well, that's not what we wanted, man. That's not what we're looking for. And you don't know what kind of, sure, every play's got audibles and backups and things like that. But as far as like Jordan Love knows what his boss wants him to do. Jordan Love knows when his boss doesn't want him to change the play. You know what I mean? And it's going to take him pushing those boundaries, which I think has started happening, to take some of that back. But that's what it's going to take. Like he needs to force that growth on LaFleur, and it's going to make LaFleur a better play caller, because then he's going to hear more of those things. Like, here's how we need to take advantage of this. Here's how we need to take advantage of that. And that's a growth process. It doesn't happen in a game or in a practice. It happens through different scenarios and situations, right? So that's where I think that's what's happening. I think we're watching it unfold. It looks sloppy. It looks inconsistent, because sometimes, Love says, hey, LaFleur, we got to do this. And he's like, all right, fine, let's try it. And it works. It's like, oh, shoot. All right, well, it worked. Let's try that again. Like there's like a tug of war going on, and we're watching it, and it looks ugly because we don't have the full context of what it is. We're guessing at some of it. But yeah, I really believe that this is headed in a direction that we're all going to be excited about. But it feels different to me than the success that we've seen them have in the prior 2 seasons. 23 was fun. There's a great run at the end of the season. We hoped that was sustainable. It wasn't, right? So last year kind of came back to earth a little bit, still built up a little bit of momentum again throughout the season. Not quite the same as 23, but did some good things. The biggest frustration we had last season is that they were not beating good teams. They were just picking on bad teams. Yeah. The frustrations we have this season are not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, you're winning games against bad teams. Sure, should you beat the Browns? Should you beat the Cowboys? Fine. You're two blocked field goals away from being undefeated. So when that's the margin we're talking about here, let's not get too wrapped around the fact that we're not undefeated. But I see this as like they're winning games in the ways that we were hoping that they would last year, right? Last year we were hoping that they could really dictate things with the pass rush. And I know that, Micah's just now getting the sacks here against the Cardinals, but we're hearing all the different pressure stats, right? I mean, he's just got pressures on pressures on pressures. And if you watch the game, you see it, right? Like
he's been really good all year.
It's impactful, man. Like every single play, he is a problem.
He makes everybody around him better.
Absolutely. So you can't get too wrapped up. Well, he should have more sacks. Yeah, fine, but they're getting a real pass rush now. This is a real pass. This is a pass rush that is causing the other team problems, not a pass rush that occasionally sticks its head up and goes, "Oh, we'll get a sack." Whether they get a sack or not, they are a problem for the opposing offense every single play. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. They're stopping the run. That's a huge deal. That might be one of the biggest deals when you're talking about making a playoff and a Super Bowl run, is being able to stop the run. And historically, I mean, come on, Packers fans. You don't have that much amnesia. I know you don't. We know, if you've been watching the Packers for the last 15 years, you know that stopping the run has been just this elusive unicorn. Like every now and then they see it and they do it and we're like, oh my God. I'll still never forget that game towards the end of the season against Derrick Henry, where you're like, you guys stink at stopping the run. You got to stop the best guy in the league at running. They did. It was like one of Joe Barry's only good games as a defensive coordinator. But so, they're doing these things now that you want to see championship teams do, and they're running the ball well too, right? And then to keep elaborating, and we could probably go down the road on that pretty far, but you also have a good quarterback who's not turning the ball over. Like, these are all championship things. Like, what do championship teams do? Those things that we just talked about. Last year was a little different, right? Like, they weren't stopping the run as well. They were kind of, winning here, winning there, inconsistently, and picking on small teams, not doing well against good teams. And there was just the way they were winning wasn't satisfying. And I understand how the way that they're winning this season may not be as satisfying as it could be, but it's different. It's definitely different. And it feels to me like turning a corner. So I'm fully off of firings. We're not firing anybody anymore. I'm done with that. Although I still would love an upgrade of the offensive coordinator position. We could talk about it in the offseason. I think that LaFleur is the leader that you need. He's got to go through more growing pains, whether you like it or not. And that's what we're watching. So I don't know. I'm very optimistic at this point, despite the sloppiness. It's the way that they're doing these things, it matters, and I think that it's got good signs ahead. I guess we'll see. We'll call it that. I don't know. Are these glasses? Are they rose colored? Do I need to switch my lenses?
No, you don't. No, I hope there's good things ahead too. I see the potential there. I don't think they're that far off, but there's tons of concerns. So. Yeah, I mean, it could go the other way too, which we all hope it doesn't, if they don't clean some of this stuff up. So,
right,
it's been ugly, but they've still found a way to win the last 2 weeks. And I think that's the most important thing. And like I said, in the past, they haven't won those kind of games, and you need to build that up over the course of a long season. So, yeah, it's there. The potential's there. They need to get healthier. They need to get more continuity along the offensive line. I think that'll help a lot. And whatever's been going on with the short passing game, dicing them up, Flacco and Brissett, Dak Prescott, they need some answers there. But to your point, they have elements, and they're showing week after week elements of this team that you need to be successful come playoff time, and that can take you far. And that's a pass rush, a dominant pass rusher in Micah Parsons, who just he was incredible against the Cardinals. He's been really good all year, and I know the sack numbers weren't there until the Cardinal game. He was getting a ton of pressure. He was getting quick pressure. Ball was just coming out, and the amount of attention he gets with 2 or 3 guys on him. And then when there's not 2 or 3 guys, and we saw that in the Cardinal game when they decided to block him one-on-one for some reason, he was unblockable. It was unfair. He raises everybody around him. We saw Van Ness before his injury, how improved he was. Devontae Wyatt before his injury. Rashawn Gary's much more dangerous now. They're really good rushing the passer. And then the run defense has been good. Hopefully it can continue that way. I'm not there yet with the offense, with the running game. I think we've seen some signs of it this, second half against Dallas. Bengals game was pretty good. I don't think it was very good against the Cardinals. And I still think Jacobs is making way too many yards on his own. I think the run offense, run blocking needs to improve a lot. But that was also the first game all season where they've had their 5 preferred players on the offensive line play the entire game for them. So I think the continuity and hopefully the continued better health for Zach Tom, Aaron Banks will improve the offensive line and the running game. And if they can continue to improve the running game, I think that's going to open up a lot for the offense, because it was another point for LaFleur was that Cardinals played a lot of too high shell, and they couldn't really get the ball down the field because they were able to stop the run with keeping those 2 safeties back. So that's on the Packers to get better run blocking. But I'm still confident that will come for them. But yeah, there's elements of this team that are there and that have been there consistently this year that are great signs for what the growth of this team can be as the season moves on. So it's there. I think they're close, but there's still a ton to clean up.
No doubt. And there should be at this time of the season, maybe not a ton, but there should be stuff to clean up this time of the season. Like to your point, you don't want to peak in October.
Right. It's way too soon for that.
Yeah. But friend of the show, R Showers, has an interesting question. Says, will we ever be disciplined and master physically dominant playoff football? Who destroys us? 49ers, Eagles, Lions. Can we ever match that physicality, overall soundness? And that is the question. Okay. I will say yes, because you did it in the first game of the season. It's not even about like the score against the Lions in that game. They handled the game. The Packers dictated that game physically. And Micah Parsons had a lot to do with it, man. Like that was a big coming out party for him. And I think that was a tough assignment for the Lions. He's just a great player. But you did it. Now, that's the first game of the season. You're asking about playoff football, 2 different things, right? But the question is, can they be? Will they be? Well, they've shown you that they can be, right? You've seen it. Just because they, did it in September doesn't mean they can't do it in January, right? But that's the whole thing of the regular season and why we get frustrated about these games and how they win them versus just winning or not winning is we look at this and go, well, if you can't do that, you're not going to win in the playoffs, right? And that's kind of what my point was about some of this other stuff is, last year our frustrations were, well, if you can't beat the good teams, it doesn't matter. And that's sort of what ours here saying. And last season, that point was valid, like to a T, like your record was 0-4 or whatever it was against those teams. Right. But this season, you've already got wins on the board. You've got to win against the Lions. You've got to win against the Commanders. Yes, the rest of these teams aren't necessarily the Cowboys you tie, that they're not looking terrible, but the point being is like those aren't bad teams that you got wins against early on, whereas last season you didn't even have that. So I think the things that we're seeing right now, the things that I just called out, like as far as being able to stop the run, being able to run the ball, and yeah, Jacobs is getting too many yards on his own, but he's getting them. He's doing it, man. That's a big deal. You get a little continuity on the offensive line, and all of a sudden what Jacobs is doing is going to go a lot farther. So that's where I think the answer this season to our question is different. Whereas I think up until last season, you're right. You're absolutely right. Can you do that? Can you be physically dominant in a playoff game? We just hadn't seen it. But now it's like, hang on a second. We've gotten a taste of that this season. Sure, there's inconsistencies. You kind of, you give up 2 field goal blocks. That's not good. But you pick some things apart and you look at it, you're like, dang, like there's some parts of championship team in this thing. Like we got to really pay attention here. I don't think that they're losing this year, or not losing, but struggling, whatever the frustrations are being caused by, for the same reasons as they have been in the past.
No, I agree with that. And, to our point, will they ever be physically dominant enough, to beat another really physical team in the playoffs? I think that's to be determined. They got the Lions again once more this year. They got the Eagles again. They got some other good teams coming up to the rest of the season, starting on Sunday with the Steelers. So, we'll find out a lot more. But I think it feels a little bit different because of how well the front's played, because they have a pass rush, like Parsons, because they've been able to stop the run pretty well. And then offensively, you see what Josh Jacobs has brought the last 2 years, what Tucker Kraft has brought. Those are the two guys where it's on offense, they got 2 physical, get in a fight, mauler guys. And then I think on defense, they have the front now for that. So we'll see. It, to me, is the answer to that. I can't say for sure. Yes, they beat the Lions week 1. That was a while ago. Maybe you caught the Lions at the right time because they've looked pretty good since then. But it feels different. It looks different. But it's to be determined until they start playing those better teams, those more physical teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we got a new listener to the pod, John Parker. Still early. I just hope we don't do good all year and choke in a championship. See, I think that's what we've all got our guard up. You can't get me. Can't get me. I know what you guys do. You do good all year and then you choke. You break my heart. Can't do. I got a wall up around this heart. You can't break it. But that's where you got to break that down a little bit and have fun as a fan. When your team's doing good, your team's doing good. Enjoy it. Winning is winning in the NFL. You could be the Steelers and just have lost to the Bengals. We didn't lose to the Bengals, right? So that there's things like that you can go and get your perspective all around the league for what goes on here. None of us want to have our heart broken by choking in a championship or before you get to the championship, but very few. Only one fan base goes home happy at the end of the year, right? So, John, appreciate you for joining us, man. Glad you're with us, and we all, I think, agree. We don't want to have all this fun watching regular season wins only to have an early exit in the postseason. But let's see here. We got Bill Patsis with us again this evening. Says great to see you guys. Hope we haven't reached our peak yet. We're number 1 in the NFC. Future looks good. I'm telling you, Bill. Keep the good vibes up, sir. Yeah. So let's get our attention on this thing, man. We got the Steelers coming in. Obviously, Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood. So let's start though with the Packers' offense against the Steelers' defense before we get into the headline of the matchup there. And if you guys would jump on over to the Packers Talk Network YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers. You can help us right now. And anyway, how does the Packers offense stack up versus the Steelers defense, sir?
Well, based on what the Steelers just did against the Bengals, where Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase torched their secondary, I think you put this game on Jordan Love's shoulders. I would love to see Jacobs go out there and run for 170 yards and just tear them up on the ground. I don't think this is the game for that. The Steelers are good. They're big and physical up front. I think you're going to have to beat their linebackers and their cornerbacks in coverage. And I'm putting it on Jordan Love's shoulders. That's how I would attack them. Short, quick passing game because they have the pass rushers. We all know T.J. Watt. The other Wisconsin kid, Herbig's a nice rotational player. Alex Highsmith. Cam Hayward can get pressure. Benton can get pressure. Derek Harmon, the first-round pick, who a lot of us really liked. You can rush they have pass rushers. So I don't think this is the game for Jordan to be holding the ball very long. I don't think he'll be able to do that or taking a whole lot of deep shots. It's got to be quick, short passing game, get the ball out, and then take your occasional shots. They got to try to push the ball downfield a little more than they were able to do against the Cardinals. But I'm putting it on Love's shoulders, the receiver's shoulders. One concern with receiver being Wicks dropped out for the second straight game, so I don't know if he'll be available. I would imagine it's 2 games now in a row where he's dropped out with an injury. They may have to sit him for a little bit to let him get healthy. And if that's the case, they're kind of down to just Golden and Dobbs. Malik Heath has been playing, but they haven't really targeted him at all. He's kind of just been more of a blocking receiver. Savion Williams, I think, played 3 snaps on offense against the Cardinals. He's kind of just a gadget guy. So this might be the week that Watson's back. Who knows? At this point, they keep saying it'll be soon. It would be really it would be big if they could get him back just from a number standpoint this week if Wicks is going to be down. But yeah, to me, I'm attacking their secondary. I know they have some names back there: Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey too. But and we don't have a Jamar Chase who just caught 16 passes for him last week. I get that, but I think they're not real fast anymore. Slay certainly isn't the player he used to be. I think the Eagles hid him a little bit last year. Ramsey's still good, but I think if you can get him isolated, he doesn't have the speed he used to have. Joey Porter Jr. is physical, but he's real grabby. And their linebackers haven't been good. Patrick Queen in coverage. I think you got to attack in the passing game. Use everybody, tight ends, receivers, Josh Jacobs catching the ball. But to me, I'm offensively, protect Jordan Love, number one, because they have the pass rushers. But I'm throwing the ball a lot. I'm throwing it to open up the running game. And I'm putting on Love's shoulders.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I've tried to catch a few Steelers games up to this point. I mean, you look at the names on the defense, you're like, geez, it's a star-studded defense, man. Like they should be pretty good. And they're okay. They're not. I'm going to pull up some of the standings here as far as stats goes, what their offense and defense is doing. But they definitely seem like they're kind of underachieving. I mean, losing to the Bengals is something I definitely didn't pick them to do that. I picked them to win that game. So yeah, that to me, it's like, are there too many chefs in the kitchen? What's going on there? I'm not real sure.
It's not.
But they're not as good as they could be, and that part of that scares me, right? Because part of that is you haven't seen them put it together yet. So on the other hand, you might. You might be the first team that they just decide to turn it on against and have a great game against, and hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, it could be, but I think there's a lot of age there. Ramsey and Slay are older.
Yes.
Cameron Hayward's older. So there's some older guys there. They're slowing down and aren't what they used to be. There's a lot of names. There's names that we're rattling off. A lot of big names who've had very good careers, but they're not quite the players they used to be. I think the Steelers, I think they're kind of like middle of the pack defense in a lot of statistics, especially advanced statistics. And that kind of feels like what it is, like what they've been. They're not like this dominant, the Steelers have the reputation of always having a really dominant defense. They're not that level. Could they get that way? And could they be that way Sunday? Sure, they could be. Absolutely. But I think if their Packers can protect, they can block TJ Watt, I think there's some plays to be had against their secondary. I really do. I think that's the and their linebackers, because their linebackers haven't been good in coverage. So I think they can make plays that way. Again, like I would love for Jacobs to have a big game, and what that could open up for their offense, the possibilities. I don't think this is the defense for that, but I could see him starting to get going because they're able to push the ball a little bit downfield and have success in the passing game, and then you get the running game going off of that. So. Yeah, I trust Jordan Love, and if I was LaFleur, I'd be building the game plan around attacking them, attacking their secondary, attacking their linebackers.
Yeah, I agree. I think specifically with the linebackers too. I think one of the ways that they could attack the linebackers, and maybe why they're being a little bit quiet about Christian Watson, and this is something that I was very excited about. A couple of years ago. When Christian Watson was a rookie and we first started seeing this. But when Watson is in there and the defense has seen how fast he is and they understand what they have to defend, and you get him running horizontally in motion, you put cinder blocks on the feet of linebackers. And they immediately have to flinch, hesitate. whatever they're supposed to do is going to be interrupted by what the heck is that guy doing? Right? They're watching Christian Watson go across the formation and going, shoot, is he mine? Does that guy come into my zone? Do I have to cover that freak? And it freezes their feet. So I very much would expect if you're going to try to attack those linebackers, and they haven't played well, they got pretty ugly PFF grades. Not that that's the end all be all, but it's usually a good place to start. They're not playing well. That's the way to do it, is to get them flowing one side or the other and take advantage of that, right? I mean, one example that was kind of painfully easy for Packers fans to see about, what a bad linebacker looks like was Jalen Smith. Anybody remember watching Jalen Smith? You signed him from the Cowboys because the Cowboys drafted him as a project after he had a horrific injury in college, thinking maybe you can salvage this guy. He's all right, kind of comes back with the Cowboys and then can't. So the Packers bring him in thinking maybe you can salvage a guy, and he was just really, really bad. He's really bad, and he overplayed everything. And he's a guy who understood his limitations, and because of it, got taken advantage of by overplaying everything. That is what a bad linebacker looks like, and that is what I probably would expect the Steelers linebackers to be playing like. They're both, Wilson's younger, so he might end up being a pretty good linebacker. But Patrick Queen is one that there's a lot of hype about him coming out. Packers fans really liked him. He didn't, hasn't really done well most of the time in the NFL. He had a couple of good seasons. And he's a guy that I kind of look at like a Jalen Smith. He's probably, aware of his own limitations, but also still hell-bent on trying to outperform that. I would be going right after those guys, whether it's tight end, running back, whatever it is, crossers, sending, a combination of Golden and Watson right through their zones, just completely stress them out. I'd go after them all day long, and they're going to give you your option. You don't even really the Steelers safeties are playing okay. They're not playing bad. So you don't necessarily want to test them and just go right at them down the field. But if you can just get them pushed back so that all you're doing is picking on the linebackers, 5 to 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, you can do that all day, man. You're going to feast.
Yeah. I think you can go play action, get those linebackers coming up, and play action bootleg off of it, and be moving those linebackers, hit Tucker Kraft behind it or off of it. And then they finally hit a crossing route in the Cardinals game with Matthew Golden, and it was like, I saw that, finally. Like, I've been waiting for that. Like, you don't just have to try to get him the deep balls down the field. Just get the ball in his hands going across the field and let him run. And that was really cool. I'm like, man, let's remember to go back to that a few times every game, try to get him on the crossing routes. And I think you can do that for the middle of their defense. So maybe this is the big Matthew Golden breakout game. He's making plays. They got another 4th down conversion where they went to him on a 4th down, trusted him. Little by little, he's making plays. I think they need to target him more for whatever reason they haven't. Could be the week because I between the linebackers and a slower cornerback group, this could be the game where they take some shots with Golden down the field.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that in order to do that, you can pick on them underneath to start with, get them to cheat up, and then hit them over top. And those are the types of things. Maybe why we get a little frustrated is because we can see those things, right? And so then we get in the game and then we don't see the plays called and we go, what the heck are you doing? LaFleur, you should have done this. So we don't get all the context, right? Maybe he saw something that keeps him from doing stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I really do think that that's what the opportunity is to attack this defense. They are going to have a decent pass rush. It's not like Jordan Love is going to be able to sit back there with 5 seconds and let things develop 40 yards downfield. You're going to have to get it out.
Quick.
The good thing is you've got teams doing that to you every week right now, right? Where they're beating you by getting the ball out. They're showing you like, hey, nice pass rush. We're not going to let it get to us. And it's like, okay, so take a page out of that book. Go, hey, nice pass rush, TJ Watt. You got a big old fat contract. We're just going to not let you have enough time to get to us. And we're going to do that by picking on the linebackers and the slow cornerbacks behind you. It should be that simple. We'd like to believe it's that simple. We're not the ones getting paid millions to sit in the room and do it. But, so I think we're in agreement. Like that's the way you pick on them. And then, obviously the run game. Commit to the run game. I think it might be tough to run against the Steelers defense, but not impossible. So let's see where they're at on yards per game right now as a defense. They're right in the middle of the league. They're giving about 116 yards a game on the ground, but through the air, they are second to last, only to the Cowboys. Cowboys are giving up 260 yards a game in the air, and the Steelers are giving up 259. So, yeah, man, there's definitely going to be opportunities through the air, and I think there's been a few of you in the chat saying, I think I saw you saying, and then play action off of it. Yeah, get the ground game going, and then play action these guys to death. Because again, I think that's a sign of your linebackers. They're going to be guessing. They're going to be overcommitting. Let Jacobs get a few runs, let them overcommit to him, and then pop them over the top to Golden, Watson, fill in the blank. Whoever it is, they're going to be open. So yeah, I think those are the keys to the offense beating the Steelers defense. What do you think? You think we solved all those problems there?
I think we got it. Just get the ball out quick, but aggressive. Be aggressive, but quick. Don't hold the ball because they got the pass rushers to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, all right, man. The $1 million question, right? Aaron Rodgers. Can the Packers stop Aaron Rodgers? Do they have what it takes to slay the dragon and I guess kind of win the breakup, right? Do you win the breakup when you win? Is that how this goes? Because I was there when they did it to Favre.
They've already won the breakup, no matter what happens in this game. So I know this game means a whole lot more to Rodgers than it does to the Packers. There's not that many guys left on the team that even played with him.
Fair.
And he left with a lot of drama and controversy, but it wasn't so much on the coaches or on the players. It was more the front office and the organization. So I think this means a whole lot more to him than it does to the team. Jordan Love has spoke very highly of him. When he's not even asked about Rodgers, he'll bring up things that he learned from Rodgers. So I don't think there's extra motivation from the players. I mean, it'd be cool if there is. Go get this one for Jordan and for Matt and for the organization. But I don't think there really is. I think the motivation is Rodgers because he'll create it in his own head, even though he kind of had already checked out and wanted out of Green Bay anyway. But they did decide to move on from him. But they won it. They won the trade so clearly from the very beginning. But then as it played out with the Jets and how Love has turned out, they've won it. It's not even close. They've won it in a knockout. No matter what he does on Sunday or the rest of the season with the Packers or with the Steelers, the Packers won that trade, hands down, 100%. So the result of the game isn't going to change any of that. But your question, can they slow him down? Can they beat him? I think
Matthew Tan wants to know, can Micah Parsons, is he going to give Aaron Rodgers fits?
I hope so, but Rodgers, he could and they could. This is a tough matchup for the Packers defense, especially the way it's been playing, because we've seen Flacco, we've seen Dak Prescott, Jacoby Brissett. They're this quick, short, get the ball out fast passing game has been dicing up the secondary. And that's exactly what Rodgers is at this point in his career. He gets the ball out fast. He's not holding on to it. This isn't the prime of his career. Aaron Rodgers extend the play, run around, and make a fabulous throw down the field. He ain't doing that no more. He is first in the league in passer rating when he gets rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less. He wants it out of his hands and quick.
That's big.
And he's gonna be looking at the film, and that's right now the Packers are having trouble with quarterbacks who get it out fast, and that's what he does. Now he doesn't throw it downfield. His average depth of target is 36th in the league, which is kind of crazy. He's not going to throw it down the field very much, but he's going to get it out quick. He's going to throw it with the tight ends, Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. They've seen a ton of targets, and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf has been really good for them. And the Packers don't have a cornerback that can physically match up with him. He is big and he can run. And Rodgers has given him a lot of chances on fade routes, slants, the back shoulder passes that we've seen for so many years in Green Bay. I think he's going to spam them to death with those throws outside the numbers, quick up the sideline to Metcalf, and let Metcalf try to get yak and make plays with the ball in his hands. Rodgers still doesn't throw the ball over the field very much. We saw that as the years went on in Green Bay, but he's going to find those tight ends as well. It's not a good matchup right now for how the Packers have been playing, as far as matching up against a quick passing game. So Hafley has to have a much better plan than what we've seen. Something needs to change, whether that's game plan specific, whether that's personnel that he's using, whatever it is, but it hasn't been working. And you're going to see that. There is no doubt. Rodgers isn't going to be back there trying to hold the ball, throw it down the field, throw it over the middle, extend plays. Like, he does not want to do that. When he holds the ball for longer than 2.5 seconds, he's not very good anymore. He just cannot do that kind of stuff. When he's going off of his first couple of reads, it's not going to end well for him. And that's where you can get home with your pass rush. So you got to, you're not going to confuse him because he's seen everything, but you got to put a little bit of doubt. You got to have good coverage right off the snap to make him possibly hold it, a second longer than he wants to, so that Parsons and the pass rush can get home. Because they haven't given up very many sacks or pressures and stuff like that, but they haven't really, their offensive line hasn't been put in the situations to do that because he's getting rid of the ball so fast. So I think they're kind of untested up front, and I think the Packers have matchups that they can win against that offensive line. It's just, will they have the time to do it? And I'm not sure they're going to. But yeah, you're going to have to improve against the quick passing game, and make him face a lot of second and longs and third and longs where he's going to have to hold the ball and let the play develop. And then that's when your pass rush can get home on.
Yes, because I can promise you Micah Parsons is faster than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. And I think Parsons can win against that offensive line. It's just, can he get there? And we've seen him so many times this year. He wins, but the ball's already out. It's just out so fast. And then finally against the Cardinals game, he was winning because it was one-on-one. And they just, even though Brissett wanted to get rid of the ball, he couldn't. They're going to have a much better plan for Parsons than the Cardinals did. And it's will he have enough time to get to Rodgers? Because if he does, he'll get there.
Oh, he will.
I don't know. I think the ball's going to be out sooner than he can get there.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if Wyatt and Van Ness get to go, because we are learning that those two are important pieces. And when they're in there, it seems like that D line is even that much better. So that'll be interesting enough to see if they can go. They've
kind of already ruled Van Ness out.
He's out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, LaFleur said he doubts he's going to play. He didn't say anything about Wyatt yet, but he hasn't practiced. So if he's out there Wednesday, I think that's a great sign. If he's not, then obviously I don't expect him to play. So that would be huge if Wyatt's back, because they really can use him.
That would make a big difference.
With the quick pressure he can get right up the middle in Rodgers' face.
That's going to make a big difference. And we have seen it, right? As Packers fans, we've seen it when Rodgers gets pressured, it doesn't go well, right?
Not
when
anymore.
He truly gets pressured, it does not go well.
No.
And psychologically, right? I don't think you have the advantage of knowing that you can get in the head of all quarterbacks, but I think everybody knows that they can get in the head of Aaron Rodgers at this point. I mean, the guy gets pissed off at his own teammates. You can get that guy upset. So I think these guys know that. And that's what I'm looking for, to be honest. I want to see some trash talk. And I don't have any ill will against Rodgers, but I do feel like this is one of those things where the organization needs to beat him in order to move on from him. And it feels a lot the same as it did when Favre was playing for the Vikings and that 2010 season, right? And they had the Vikings at Lambeau. I was at that game, and that was when Randy Moss went back to the Vikings. You finally got to see Favre to Randy Moss and the geriatric version of it. But man, when the Packers won that game, the stadium stayed full. Nobody wanted to leave. It was just, it was incredible. I mean, again, it's not like that many people hated Favre and just wanted to see him lose. It was just this sort of
I did.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did.
I
but
did.
Not, like we were. You're right. That was still pretty fresh with him joining the Vikings. That was a kind of a deep cut. But yeah, I mean, it was like a growing up moment. It's like, all right, yeah, like Rodgers is our guy now. Like we just kicked your ass with Rodgers, so Rodgers is our guy now. And I feel like there's a little bit of that, still in this team. Like they need to beat Rodgers to fully move on from him. And if you lose to Rodgers, is that like a permanent curse? No, like nothing like that.
No.
I think that there is something for this team, and maybe it's within LaFleur, maybe because he's his coach, and I don't know, but it just feels like you get this win, and you've moved on. You're done with that chapter.
You got the whole Rodgers thing. It's a national game. There's going to be a ton of hype around it because of Rodgers against the Packers, right? Like everybody's going to be watching it. You're playing a good team. I don't know how good ultimately the Steelers are going to be, but so far they're the best team in their division by far. I don't think they're anywhere near a Super Bowl contender or anything like that, but you never know. Like, it's kind of a big game. Like, okay, you got a national audience in a hyped game against, a franchise legend that you're going up against who wants to beat you for his own motivation. Yeah, it's kind of like show us what you're going to be 2025 Packers. Not so much like show us because you're beating Rodgers, but like this isn't the game. Like this is so much bigger than the Cardinals game or the Bengals or next week's Panthers game or even the Dallas game. Like, yeah, that was big. Michael Parsons going back to Dallas. That was really big. But I think this one's there's a little bit more. It's a road game. You're playing a good team, and there's so much around it. It's just like one of those, like, okay, show that you're a better team than what we've seen recently, the ugly wins, and you can kind of make a statement. It might be a little too early for statements. It's still just October.
This is more of like an internal statement, like a statement to the team.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a little more there for the Packers. It's just different than what it is for Rodgers and the Steelers.
Totally. No, I agree with that. And so I don't know, man. I will be honest. I'm nervous. Because if there's somebody who can figure out a defense and carve him up whenever he's on, it's Rodgers, man. Like the guy is he is. We talk about the chess match that happens. He's one of the best. He is one of the best. It would have been cool to see him in his prime go up against like a Ray Lewis in his prime. But yeah, I mean, if Rodgers has a good beat on the defense and understands what you're doing, it could be a long night. So
big game for Jeff Hafley.
It is a big game for Jeff Hafley. That's a good one to point out. I don't know how many people are talking about it that way, but it's definitely a big game for him. Rodgers is going to be a tough one for him to beat. Like you're going to have a hard time pinning him down because he's one that if you're beating him with something, he's going to find a way around it. He's going to either have something to counter that, or he's going to do something else entirely and make you focus on that. I get a little bit nervous about this one. I get a little bit nervous. I think that there's a lot of ways that this could get into more of a shootout kind of territory, and then you kind of wonder, all right, well, is LaFleur going to let the offense, go off the leash and just try to win a shootout? It's interesting, man. I'm nervous about it. I guess that's what I got to say. I don't know that the defense can beat them, but I'm not sitting here going, I think they will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it could go. If he's out there early and he's slinging it and moving the ball, they're going to need to score a lot of points to win. Because I think he'll be in total effort mode. Like, I got these guys, I know what they're doing, and I'm just going to keep slinging it to Metcalf and the tight ends and putting up points. But I think like early, if they're able to not confuse him, but they're able to take away some of the short things that he wants to do in the passing game, maybe get some pressure on him, maybe frustrate him and his receivers with timing or knocking passes their way, then maybe it'll be a little bit of a tighter, grind it out kind of game. So I think early on you'll see how the game's going to play out. But I'm with you. The way their defense has been playing lately, I think under normal circumstances, at least maybe how their defense was playing the first 2 weeks right now, I wouldn't really be that concerned about it. But what we've seen since the Dallas game, the quick passing game, and that's how he wants to operate. And he's been very good at that this year in the quick passing game. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm nervous about it too. I don't think it's a good matchup.
What it is it's their strength against our weakness instead of, getting your weakness to go up against their weakness. That's it is. And I think that one of the things that I think about is, you mentioned DK and how he can hit him. I kind of worry that DK is going to Adams us, It's one of those games where you just couldn't stop the connection to Devontae Adams that Rodgers had, whether it was a back shoulder, a slant, or just a ridiculous route run by Adams. Those two had kind of an offense of their own at some times. And it didn't really matter what you were doing. You couldn't stop them. That's what I worry about, because I don't think that you have the DBs that can be as, disruptive enough, let's say, to make Rodgers hesitate in that quick passing game, which is what you need. You need him to hesitate long enough for him to have to flush out the pocket or get the sack home. But that's what worries me. And what are you going to do with your DBs? Are you going to try to man up? We got Bobby Santoro in here. Appreciate you joining us, Bobby. Need to have the corners sit on those quick routes. No shot. Rodgers lets the pass rush get to him. It will be quick throws all night. Need the secondary to jump them. Yeah, so I guess what I'm worried about, and maybe I've got like Joe Barry PTSD, is them deciding not to do that with the corners. And I'm not even going to sit here and say that the corners are good enough to do that, but I just think that that's the right strategy. Whether you think the corners are good enough or not, that's the right way to approach it. Is you've got to disrupt them. You got to jam them in that first couple yards, just from a timing perspective, to keep Rodgers holding on to the ball another second, 2 seconds longer. And I just don't know if they are confident enough to do that, right? I haven't seen that a lot. We've seen it a little bit. We haven't seen it a lot. And that's the part where I hope they are. I hope they're confident enough. And you've got good safeties over the top. The talking point for Xavier McKinney right now is that he's not getting targeted enough. Okay, well, jam the corner, get the corners up, man, jam press, and then dare him to take a shot over the top. Give McKinney a little work, dare him to take a shot at him, right? They hit that cover 2 window. But I don't know that he will. That's what I'm saying. We haven't seen it that much. There's been more soft zone stuff that they've been doing, and to Hafley's point that he said, I think it was last week, it's like, you're not going to get those big plays on us and you can't nickel and dime us and win. It's like, well, maybe Rodgers can, though. I don't know if I'm like that confident in the idea that you can't beat me by nickel and diming me. I think that I don't know. I'd rather maybe force the issue a little bit more than that, but that's just me. So yeah, that's my biggest worry.
Yeah, I agree. They got to be more aggressive with their corners and how they allow them to play, even though, Hobbs was pretty bad against the Cardinals, and that's a big concern going forward. But it doesn't look like he's coming out of the lineup anytime soon. They're going to keep rolling him out there. I guess, if he performs like he did against the Cardinals, at some point they're going to have to replace him with Valentine. But it doesn't seem like they're going to do that right away now. So he's got to play a lot better. Keyshawn's got to play better. They just don't have a cornerback that can physically match up with DK Metcalf. And he's been really good this year because of the way Rodgers is utilizing him. He's throwing him jump balls, or he's throwing it up high so you can go up and get it with the size, or he's throwing back shoulders or slants to him. So physically he's able to use his size and then get yak after the catch. And it's just because of the way Rodgers is kind of throwing him the ball and utilizing him. Not a good matchup for the Packers corners, but I think they got to be aggressive. They got to get up on Metcalf. And, you may take a penalty or two for illegal contact or interference or whatever, but stay with him, be physical with him. And then once he catches it, you got to bring him down because he's a beast. But something to disrupt that timing so that it makes Rodgers hesitate and not get the ball out as quickly or as smoothly as he wants to.
Yeah, and that's what it is. You don't have a guy who's going to run downfield with DK, but Rodgers isn't, in theory, shouldn't have time. Yeah, he shouldn't have
He doesn't
time
want
to
to
get
do
downfield.
that. He hasn't been doing that. Yeah, it's all been short with him. And I know they have some big plays. Freiermuth had a big one against the Bengals. That was kind of a busted play by the Bengals safety. Metcalf has made some plays, but a lot of them have been yak. He's breaking tackles. He's making guys miss. Like, there's not a ton of bombs that Rodgers is throwing down the field. He's not going to sit back there and do that. So you got to disrupt the timing, and you got to be up and around and physical. And you can't play soft because he'll chew you up soft zone. Now,
Oh yeah.
if he's having to have 9-10 play drives to go down the field, at some point will he start pressing it a little bit, trying to force some things? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think he'll be patient with it and just continue to slice and dice him if that's what they're going to give him.
Yeah, and if it's 10-minute drives or whatever, that's fine. I'll agree with Halfley at that point that you're not going to beat him doing that, right? Like you're not going to have enough possessions in the game to win that way. But again, like I wouldn't rest on that.
Right.
You don't want to be giving up consistent 10-minute drives. That's not good.
And the other thing that can help your defense is an offense that's playing well and scoring points to put the pressure on the Steelers defense to keep up, right? Like there can't be this, going into halftime at 6 points and just not being able to making mistakes, whether it's penalties or turnovers or some boneheaded play calling that's costing them points and stuff like that. Like, come out and be aggressive and put up points because you may need it for a shootout, but either way, like make Rodgers have to play from behind in this game. Like, can he do that? Can he, bring a team back where he's got to be more aggressive trying to throw the ball downfield? We haven't seen that this year too much from them because it's, he's been able to do it with a lead or he's been able to do it, underneath and let his receivers and tight ends do the rest after the catch. Maybe with a lead or an offense that's consistently putting up points might force Rodgers to play a different way than he wants to.
Yeah, and that's I think the best way to beat him is force him to play a way he doesn't want to. As Packers fans, we've seen that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be fun to see the battle. I think our friend R. Showers here put it very well. Said it sure could elevate MLF or not. Bright lights, legit coach on the other side. Beating him in his own house would be big. Beating his old QB could really elevate or expose LaFleur. I don't know if I feel like it's that dramatic. I think it could elevate him for sure. I don't know if I would say like expose him. Unless the Steelers just beat the pants off of him, which I think would be kind of surprising, honestly. I don't know what has to happen for that to happen, but yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like a game you can elevate from, though. It definitely feels like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least from a national standpoint, yeah, they win this one, and depending on how it looks, yeah, LaFleur might get more national attention for whatever that's worth, but it can elevate your team and elevate your coach, definitely.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get these predictions in. I've already seen a few scores float through the comments. So you guys, if you haven't, throw them in there, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please, Packers Talk Network, search it, YouTube, hit that subscribe button, get after it. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're very close, actually. I think we're only like a little over 100 away. So you could contribute to our goal. Please help us out. Just click that little mouse. All right, guys. What are we going to get here? What is our game prediction? All right, we talk about what's it going to take, what's the matchup like, but what do we think is going to happen, right? Like we've had these games. We thought we should have killed the Browns, thought we should have killed the Bengals, thought we should have killed the Cowboys. All of the we should have. So what should happen in this game, Tim? Give me your prediction of what is going to happen here.
Well, they should score exactly 27 points because when the Packers do that, they're undefeated. They're 4-0. So just score 27 points and they're going to win. That's the key.
27 exactly, right?
Exactly.
Like when you
don't
score
go
more
over.
than 27 is not
right, because they scored 40 and tied Dallas, right? So
don't want any more time.
Exactly 27 points and they're going to win. That's the key. Man. However they can get the 27. No, I mean we broke it all down. I don't feel great about this game with the way the Packers. I'm happy, like we said at the top. I'm happy they're winning, and even if it's winning ugly, okay. But they have a lot of flaws to clean up, and at some point, some of those flaws are going to catch up with them. I don't think it's a great matchup for them with what Rodgers can do in a quick, short passing game and how they haven't been able to defend that. And I also have concerns about how their offensive line is going to hold up against the Steelers' front and pass rushers. So, yeah, this could be the win that Rodgers gets, so that he now has a win over every team in the NFL. Which
monumental.
Yeah, I guess so. I think Favre had the same thing, and probably a few other quarterbacks. But yeah, it would suck, but it would be really cool if we were the one team that didn't beat him. Right?
Yes, that's what I would really like.
That would be awesome. But yeah, I don't like this matchup for the Packers.
It's not a great matchup. It's not. It's also on the road, which they've played better at home than they have on the road. Yeah, I'm concerned. We'll say that. I'm concerned about this one. I don't think that the Packers are built to get blown out. So I don't know that I would say that is part of my concern. But I do feel like this is one of those that could slip away from them. They could find themselves in a pretty tight game. LaFleur could have some game management lapses. You could have a blocked field goal, some special teams BS, stuff like that. It just feels like a game where stuff like that might happen. We all know that you don't want to give Rodgers the ball back with a minute to go and, a 4-point deficit or, whatever. So we don't want to see him with the ball in his hands at the end of the game to go down and score and do, kind of the walk-off thing. I think they have to find a way to win this game like they haven't won the other games, which is, I just went on this whole rant about how they're winning these games in a good way, but they have to win this game early. You need to win this game early because I think that is a whole different opponent that you're going to have in Rodgers across the field if he's down consistently 1 or 2 possessions. So I feel like this game's got to be won in the first half. You've got to come out and you got to be hot, fast, and you can't do it where you have these other games where it's like, let's just take it down to the wire at the end and, make sure that we come out on top, because the guy on the other side is one of the best at making sure he comes out on top in that situation. So I think you have to avoid that. And you know what? I'll even go as far as to say I think that they will avoid that, because I'll flip the script here. These games that we've had where we think they should, right? I went and tailgated at the Cowboys game. You should have heard all the defeated Cowboys fans. Not a single one of them could even give you an idea of how to beat the Packers, much less be competitive in the game. They were defeated before the game even started. And then look how that turned out in a tie. The games where the Packers, we have been confident in what they should do. They're matched up well. They should be able to do this and that. It's breakout game for Golden, breakout game for Parsons, all this stuff. They end up being disappointing. Well, you know what? I think they flipped the script on us. We're sitting here going, I don't know, guys. I think they come out and go, we do. And they win early. And it's not a 2-possession game. But I think I'll take the streak of 27s. And I'm going to say 27-20. I think they win this game 27-20. I think they get up early. They hit their magic number. They get up early. They're going to frustrate the hell out of us by letting the Steelers hang around and get back in it. But they'll hold on to a 7-point victory, and we'll gripe about it. But a win is a win. So that's what I think will happen.
They win, I'm not griping about anything.
Yeah, I guess a win over Rodgers, I'm not going to gripe about anything. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, so let's see here. Some of the predictions we got here. R. Shower says, I believe I was perfect on last week's score. You probably were. I don't have the record, but I do believe you. He said, that said, no prediction because I do not feel good, and I am no trader. That's respect right there. If you can't pick the Packers, just don't pick it all. I got you. I'm totally on board with that strategy. Totally on board with that. Yep. Our new friend Jonathan Parker says Packers win 27-17. It's that magic number, man. 27. And 10-point win. I could see that. I like that. I'm with it. If they do that, I'm happy. Let's see here. I know our buddy Matthew Tan had a prediction. Here he is. He's on. Oh, sorry, Matthew. I stole your score, man. I didn't do that on purpose. But he's also got 27-20. Packers winning. We're hitting the magic number. We've figured out the pattern. Okay, and I'm digging in. I'm not seeing any other predictions in the comments, but you guys have been commenting all night. Love this. That's awesome. I love it when I can't read all the comments. It's so much fun. Okay, well, Tim, I mean, do you have any words of encouragement for how the Packers need to go win this game?
Go Pack, go. That's what I got. Be aggressive.
Absolutely.
Be smart. Be aggressive. Attack with the passing game on offense, and you got to disrupt their timing on defense.
Carry the G.
Make them hold the ball and bury them.
Yeah, play physical football. Let's go win this thing in a physical way. Hey, now, if you guys had some fun with us tonight, you like the pod. I saw some positive comments about the pod in the comments. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Tell a friend. Bring a friend. Come hang out. We're just talking Pack. It's like, we might as well all be just kind of lined up at one of the bars in Wisconsin, right? Just sitting here drinking some Spotted Cow, pretending that this coffee is Spotted Cow. And we're just talking Pack like a bunch of buddies, We don't all have a thick Wisconsin accent drinking or eating our cheese curds because we're not all in Wisconsin, but we all do love the Pack, I believe. See a lot of Packer backers. That used to be a thing, man. The word Packer backer. We need to bring that back. That was like a 90s.
You don't hear that anymore.
Yeah, that was what Packers fans called themselves in the 90s. For a little quick throwback there. But yeah, come hang out with us, guys. Bring a friend. We're usually on Monday nights. I needed last night. I got a new kid, and she's wearing us out. So I appreciate y'all's patience and joining us on a Tuesday night here. Usually Monday nights, 9:30, streaming live, talking Pack, breaking it all down, not getting distracted with the nonsense, man. We're diving into the football. That's what we're here to watch. It's what we're here to talk about. It's what we're here to see. So we're doing that. Come hang out with us again. Remember to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. You could help us get there. We're almost there. Please do it. Jump on in there, click that little button, and enjoy this Packers game. Go Pack, go! We're going to get a win over Rodgers this week. Big win over an AFC team, good playoff team probably. It's good. This is what we've waited the whole offseason for. So we got to take it and enjoy it. We'll be frustrated by the play calling. So what? We're still watching Packers football. That's the fun part. And then of course we come back here next week and we air it all out and talk about it. So come and join us, friends. And of course, as always, go Pack.